Welcome, my students. Today, inshallah, we'll go through the SAT Tajmi'at League questions that came in 2022, and let's get started. Question number 1. In the following table, which statement is true about the first generation of crossing a tall red flowering plant, R capital T capital, with a short white flowering plant, R small T small? And you have this table. Question number or option number 1, 1, B, 2, C, 3, 4, C, D4. If you look for the answer for this question, it consider a dihybrid Mendelian inheritance. It is dihybrid. From the question stem itself, why it's dihybrid? Because if you have a look to the question stem, he's mentioned here crossing a tall red. So tall is a trait. Tall is a trait. And red is another trait. So it is dihybrid inheritance, okay? And he said R capital T capital. So this is, okay, the first or the genotype of the one of the parent, let's say the male, for example, and R small T small, the female, okay? Simply, you will add them up, okay? It will be R capital, R small, T capital, T small. So the correct answer will be 3, R capital T, R small, T capital, T small. And of course, it is not homozygous because there is R capital and R small, okay? So it is not of the same allele. And heterozygous, yes, it is heterozygous, but it is for the dominant character, okay? Let's explain this a little bit. Yeah, the answer is C, okay, which is number 3, R capital T, R small, T capital T small, and heterozygous. Explanation, as you know, this is a dihybrid inheritance, okay? And if you're looking here, number 2 can be only correct, just in case we started by pure breeding for the dominant, at least for both. If it's R capital, okay, I'm sorry, R capital T capital crossed with, okay, R capital T capital also. So this is the only case that can give the R capital T capital, which is incorrect here. Okay, so here same, just instead of R use Y, okay, or instead of T you can use Y. So here R capital Y capital I capital, okay. Here we have Y capital Y, I'm sorry, Y small R small, okay. The gamete is gonna be, okay, one from the first, which is Y capital, and one from the second trait, which is R capital. So Y capital R capital crossed with Y small R small, and all of the first generation in the dihybrid inheritance gonna be Y capital Y small R capital R small, okay. And by the way, this is the case in our question, okay, because instead I said instead of T here, say Y, so we can say R capital, okay, T capital here, as he mentioned, crossed with, okay, R small T small. So all of the first generation will be, yes, Y capital Y small, R capital R small. In our case, will be R capital R small, T capital T small. Yes, and even if you can find it out for the second generation or cross the offspring to the third generation, you can do it. And it will be much harder, by the way, but you can do it. Okay, so you will get out the gametes first. And as I told you, if you are in doubt, Bonnet square it. Okay, so they here we have, for example, let's talk about it. It didn't come, but just for extending the explanation, we have R capital, R small, okay, T capital, T small, okay. I'll let you know what are the gametes, and then you can do the cross between them, and here is the explanation for it as well. Okay, will be here, the gametes will be, here is the parental or the parents. So R capital with T capital, so R capital T capital in one sperm cell, if we assume that this is the male, okay, and R capital with T small, so another R capital T small, and then R small with T capital, so R small T capital, then R small with T small, R small T small. This is for the male, and here cross with a female, which will be also R capital R small T capital T small, And if you go for the gamete, gonna be the same, exact same. Will be R capital T capital, R capital T small, R small T capital, R small T small. Okay. And if you are in doubt, as I mentioned, Bann square it, and here is the Bann square for it. But instead of just the letter Y here, replace it by T, and it will be same or exact same. Okay. Question number 2. Pheromones are chemical substances that used by some animals for A, mating, B, communication, C, growth, D, reproduction. By the way, it's not considered a new question, but the rephrasing here is a little bit different, and he brought something that is much more common, and he want to make it a little bit confusing for some of you. So pay attention. The perfect communication, or the answer that best fit here, is B, which is communication. Okay, by the way, pheromones are being used for the mating. Mating is a part of the sexual reproduction. Okay, but all of those under the communication. So the answer that best fit here is B, which is communication. So watch out. Yeah, as you know, the organism can release pheromones in order to communicate to another organism from the same species without being encountered by the predators. And this will be useful in another question, okay? They ants, for example, when they are moving from their nest, they deposit pheromone A, and they are follow pheromone B towards the food that be maybe both from another, okay, ant. So they are moving in a fixed pathway. And when they are moving back to their nest, they deposit from pheromone B closer to the food. They are following the pheromone A that guiding them towards their nest. Of course, they are chemical substances that are being used between the individuals of the same species, okay, in order to communicate without having any encounters by the enemies or predators, or even in other species. Question number 3: which of the following suggestions you choose to control African sleeping sickness disease? A, control mosquitoes. B, control termites. C, control tsetse fly. D, wash the vegetables well. For sure, he is now testing you about the disease transmitting agent, which is the tsetse fly. If you don't know that the tsetse fly is the fly that is transmitting the disease, you may not be able to answer the question properly. So the correct answer here is tsetse fly, because we may make a confusion between the tsetse fly and the mosquitoes that are transmitting another disease, which is the malaria. So it is here that tsetse fly, here, this fly, that is transmitting the African sleeping sickness disease. Question number 4. In the figure below, the question mark represents a common feature between both species. What is it? Between the frog and salamanders. A, presence of limbs. B, absence of limbs. C, absence tail. D, presence of neck. What is common between frog and salamander? Let's go through the answers. A, presence of limbs. Both of them have limbs, and this is the strongest one. And by the way, this is the correct answer in this case. Okay, this is the correct answer. Absence of limb, we cannot say it. Why? Because frog and salamander, both of them do contain, okay, they have limbs. Absence of tail, the salamander has tail, so it is not common between both. Even the frog is tailless, by the way, but he said they're common. Presence of neck is absent in the frog, but it's present in the salamander, so we cannot choose D. So the correct answer is A, the presence of limbs, which is present in both of them. So it is the common feature between both species. Question number 5. If the lateral line in the fish damaged, the fish will not be capable of A, nutrition, B, reproduction, C, growth, D, movement. For sure will not be able to, yes, to balance and to coordinate and to know the posture for movement, so that it cannot detect the water currents and thus encounter the process of movement. Yes, the correct answer here is movement. Perfect. Question number 6. part of the respiratory system that prevent food particles from entering the respiratory system? A, nasal septum, B, trachea, C, epiglottis, D, larynx. The correct answer for sure is C, the epiglottis. If I extend the answer a little bit and extend the explanation, I'm gonna saying here that here is the pharynx, which is a common pathway for both air and food. And here there is the epiglottis, that when there is a food to be swallowed, it will be closing the pharynx, so the esophagus will not be, okay, blocked, and suffocation will be avoided as long as the epiglottis closes the top of the trachea, and the food will easily flow through the esophagus to the stomach. Question number 7. The genotype of a Klinefelter male is XO, XXY, XYY, or Y. The Klinefelter syndrome is a male with a female characteristics. So it has one extra X chromosome. And the correct answer here is exactly B, which is XXY. Perfect. And if we extend our explanation in order to know why is the Klinefelter syndrome made, and a little bit talking about the non-disjunction in the 6 chromosomes. First of all, I'd like to shed some light in the, of course, XO is considered a Turner. I will talk about all of them, but first of all, I'd like to differentiate between 2 important things. We have autosomes, and we have 6 chromosomes. How many chromosomes we have? We have 23 pairs, or we can say 46, 43, okay, 46. So 22 pair are autosomes, and we have 1 pair, which is the 6th chromosome, chromosome X and chromosome Y. If there is a non-disjunction happen in the gamete formation, it will lead to a, yes, one of those disorders. What is the meaning of disjunction? For example, XY, in case of X and Y, in case of male, for example, and in case of female. Okay, the male has X and Y. So one sperm has X chromosome, and one other sperm will have Y chromosome. And this is a normal disjunction. Okay, there is a disjunction, a separation happen between the X in one sperm and Y in another sperm. Okay, there may be a problem happen if there is one sperm has no, okay, chromosome at all, and another one may have 2 copies, such like X and Y. Okay, that leads to, this is called non-disjunction. This is called non-disjunction. So this is called O or 0, nothing here. Female have the same thing, X, X. Okay, one will have X and another one has to have X. This is the normal disjunction. But if there is non-disjunction happen, so one egg has nothing and the other egg has 2 copies, okay, that can rise into any one of those, okay, disorders. Okay, XX is the normal female. Okay, XO is Turner syndrome. Okay, so one of those eggs will be encountered by a sperm, okay, that has X, so this will be a female Turner syndrome. Okay, triple X, one of the eggs may have 2 X copies and another one came from the male sperm that have X, so this is it's a female but has an extreme feminine characteristics. XY is the normal male. Okay, XXY, if the same egg that has 2 copies of X chromosome is being fertilized by a sperm with a Y, okay, chromosome, then it will form XXY, and here is the male Klinefelter syndrome, the point that we are talking about here. Okay, and we have XYY. It's very rare, okay, but it is an nearly normal male, a male with an excess male characteristics. OY, this will not be able to live. Why? There is no X chromosome. X chromosome is the chromosome of life, so it has to be present. If no, there is no life will be formed. Okay, and the autosomes, there may be also a problem there, but in this case, such like the additional or deletion of one of the chromosomes, which is a chromosome mutation. For example, the one that came, it didn't come in this trial, but it came before, such like the Down syndrome. Okay, the normal composition is 44 plus, okay, XY in case of male, normal male, or 44 plus XX in the normal female. Okay, in case there is one, okay, additional chromosome, such like the Down syndrome, it will be 45 plus XY if it's a male, or XX if it's a female down. And this 45 because there is one additional copy of a chromosome number 21. But the chromosome 21 is autosome, chromosome, not sex chromosome. And this is called trisomy. Trisomy. Okay. Question number 8. The phenomenon of the effect of the environmental limit is caused by A, overexploitation, B, loss of habitat, C, environmental pollution, D, habitat fragmentation. Think about it. Think about it. Yes, of course, it will be, yeah. The answer here is the habitat fragmentation. If I'm talking a little bit about the habitat and what is the habitat fragmentation and how it come and why can we even overcome it? Okay, I'm gonna saying that the habitat is the place where the organism live. Okay, if there is anything that cause the fragmentation of the habitat, for example, if there is a environmental or let's say something common that we can see every day. If you are walking by the high road and there's a camels that encountered by a road, this road caused a habitat fragmentation. But the government, in order to overcome this, it makes a camel cross. So the camel cross is known as a habitat corridor in order to rejoin the camels with their habitat. That's very important. Question number 9. In the following diagram, which number refer to the ovary? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Exactly, the correct answer here is, yes, is 2. Yeah, let's label it. Here is the ovary. This is ovary. This is oviduct. This is uterus. And here is the vagina. Yes, here 3 is the vagina. If you are in doubt also in those drawings, okay, so please try to label it. Okay. Question number 10. The contractile vacuole found in Euglenoid regulates A, food ingestion, B, animal movement, C, food digestion, D, water expel outside of the cell. Think about it. What is the contractile vacuole? What is the function of the contractile vacuole? Of course, D, water expel outside of the cell. Okay. And here is the contractile vacuole. And this is the euglenoid. In order to understand properly, okay, keep in mind that the euglenoid live in fresh water. In the fresh water. And in the fresh water, for sure, there is a high water potential. High water potential. And of course, inside the euglenoid, there is a lower water potential. Okay, and the water will move by osmosis from a region of their higher water potential to a region of their lower water potential by osmosis via partially permeable membranes, okay, by the process of osmosis. But if this process continue, and it continue because outside always the water potential is higher than inside because the presence of salt inside, salts and sugar and dissolved substances inside the body of the euglenoid. This water can cause enlarge of the euglenoid, which is a unicellular organism, and then it will be burst, explode, okay, rupture. And in order to avoid this, we have one or even more contractile vacuole or vacuoles in order to take this water and expel it outside of the body in regular paces in order to maintain the osmoregulation. Osmoregulation. And prevent the bursting of the living organism. Question number 11. A stable vital community that results when there is a little change in the number of species is A, primary succession, B, secondary succession, C, end of succession, D, climax community. This is the literal, okay, definition of the climax community or the climatic climax community. Exactly. It is not a new question. Yeah. The climax community or climatic climax community, it is a community of a very little change of number of species of plants, animals, and even fungi that live there. But this occurred okay, a long process of ecological succession, and eventually it will reach a steady or a stable, okay, state. So it is known that climax. Climax means the top, the maximum, the peak. Question number 12. Bread mold belongs to which phylum? A. Pteridumycota, B. Ascomycota, C. Zygomycota, D. Pacidiomycota. The bread mold, of course, among is the Zygomycota. First of all, any suffix, okay, in by the mycota or mycos, this means fungi. And what's before it is actually the reproductive structure, okay? Yes. How come? I'll explain it a little bit. Yeah, here is zygomycota. As you know, the fungi or the mycota, okay, this is the Latin name of the fungi, has zygomycota that are being reproducing by formation of the zygospore, and it's the zygospore, by the way, so watch out. Ascomycota, it has ascus. I'm going to point it out in the next slide. And Basidiomycota, they have basidia and basidiospores, okay, such like the mushroom. Ascomycota, such like the truffles. The Zygomycota, such like the Rhizobus nigricans or the bread mold. We have then imperfecta or deuteromycota, such like penicillin, that lacks the sexual reproduction. It has only one, okay, form of the asexual reproduction. So, I talk about the zygomycota that has zygospores. Basidiomycota, they have basidia, singular is basidium, that has the basidiospores. So it's named as basidiomycota, okay, that are reproduced by formation of basidiospores. And ascomycota, they have asci. Asci is plural, singular is ascus. Ascus makes ascospores. That's why they are known as ascomycota. So watch that out. Deuteromycota, they or imperfecta, they have no sexual reproduction in their life cycle, only asexual type. Question number 13. Which of the following plant structures human used in to make crops and cloth? A. Fibers, B. Collincuma, C. Stone cells, D. Cork cells. What is the plant structure that we are making our cloth from it? Okay, which plant part? It's a very easy question. And of course, the answer is the fibers, the plant fibers. Okay, the lignin, all of those fibers are used. And here is the process that is converting those plant fibers into very strong, tough ropes. And our cloth also, the most expensive, the most healthy one are being made of the highly fabric plant fibers. Question number 14. In female human, the placental development completed during which week of the pregnancy? It's a strong question. It is a good question. It's a tricky question. And many of the students don't want or don't like this type of question because it is basically, okay, memorization. Okay. So you have to keep this in mind. And I'm going to telling you why. First of all, answer here is the placenta completed in the 10th week. Okay. If I extend the explanation, and even before extension of the explanation, I'm going to point out something. The pregnancy can be divided based on weeks. And we have here 40 weeks, and every week has events, week 1, 2, 3, till 40. Okay. Or maybe based on month. And in this case, it will be divided into from 0 to 3 months, which is the first, okay, trimester. Then from 4th month to the 6th, this is the second trimester. Then we have from 7th to 9th, this is the third trimester. The most important things are the event that occur in every single, okay, trimester, if we are talking about the trimesters, or weeks, if we're going to talk about it in weeks. If we would like to extend the information, I'll give this to you. It's now available. I'll let you access to something like this, but you have to keep in mind that, yes, here is we have the first trimester, okay, which is from 0 to 3 months after the fertilization here, which from week 1 to week 12. And all of those has to be kept by mind. And I have to be, okay, honest with you. It didn't come just only this is the second question, okay, that came for that part, but who knows? So you have to know what are the events that occur in every single trimester, just in case. Question number 15. During the mid-19th century, the wild rabbits entered Australia and inhabited it. In terms of biodiversity, this type of organisms is called A, native, B, extinct, C, introduced, D, inhabited. It is a very easy question, and it is not new, by the way, but the phrasing of the question is a little bit new. So the correct answer here, the rabbit is considered, of course, consider introduced species. Considered introduced species. The point here is there is in the mid-19th century, I think 1885 maybe, if I'm not wrong, there is one of the Australian people, he found himself bored, so he want to practice some of the new activities. So he brought 24, okay, rabbits from Europe, and then he spread them on the wild there in Australia. And now it is an extreme disaster in Australia. Imagine that about more than 10 billion, okay, of the rabbits there, and every single thing happened from the government in order to decrease this number failed, okay, and a lot of the other species and even the plant communities are suffering from those rabbits that are now in Australia. Reason, they are introduced species, okay. Why? Let's talk about it in a little bit details. The introduced species, any organism that was brought to an ecosystem as a result of human action, same as our story here. Introduced species can disrupt an ecosystem in many ways. Example, the introduced species can prey on the native species, can eat them, okay? So the predation, this predation decreases the population of native species. The introduced species may not have predators, and this is the exact case of our story here, okay? So it's a thrive there, a flourishing there. Maybe also the introduced species have a better or consider better competitors than the native species. So what happened in Europe when they brought or introduced the American gray squirrel to Europe, and now it has a favored or it has advantage or privilege rather than the European red squirrel. Okay, so the red squirrel didn't find anything except to be moving out to another place, or even it will be extinct. So the number is dramatically decreased in Europe. Question number 16. In an experiment on two plants, A and B, the plant A was covered by a black bag, while plant B kept without covering. Both plants given same conditions. After a couple of days, the growth of plant A stunted, while plant B grown well. Which of the following statements representing the independent variable? A, soil and water. B, time intervals. C, sunlight. D, change of plant growth. It's a very good example. It's a little bit, okay, you need focusing about it in order to recall the different three types of the variables. Okay. Think about it. Think about it first. Okay. So if you think about it, you're gonna find that the correct answer here is C, or the sunlight. Okay, why the sunlight? If you think even more about it, you're gonna find that the sunlight is the independent variable. But why? Let's extend our explanation. We have actually, at any experiment, we have three variables. Number one, independent variable, or we can name it, okay, the changed variable, the one that we change by our own. And in this case, we cover one and we left one. So we allow light or allow one plant to expose to light and prevent other. So it is a change variable. Or in some cases, it may be referred to as manipulated. Manipulated. Okay, manipulated variable. The second one, in this case, the plant growth is the dependent. Okay, we can name it as with the observed or the measured. The measured or observable, or the observed. Okay, and all of the remaining variables will be kept constant because they are known as controlled variables. Controlled variables such like soil and water, such like time intervals, while the sunlight is independent. and the change of the plant growth is the measured, okay, and it is the dependent variable. And there is no scientific experiment without those three variables: independent, dependent, and controlled. Question number 17. A student asked to perform a study on the organism causing polio disease. Which of the following scientific topics help him performing his study? A, viral diseases; B, bacterial diseases; C, disease-carrying insect; D, parasitic worms. Of course, the answer is A, which is the viral disease. Why? Because polio is a virus. Polio is a virus. So the study of viral diseases will help the researcher here or the student in order to find out or to perform his study. Okay, the viral, because polio is a viral disease. Yes. Question number 18. Disease-carrying insect, for sure, if we are looking here, for example, okay, couldn't be, because he asked you about disease-carrying insect. But in this case, the disease-carrying insects, the disease itself may be viral, maybe bacterial, maybe parasitic, maybe protozoal, maybe fungal, maybe a lot of things. So it will be causing disturbance for the researcher. But viral diseases, okay, will, yes, exactly, will cause the circle to be closer, so the researcher can easily find the point he is looking for. Okay, but if we choose C, it will widen the range and it will harden the mission for the students. That's why C will not be taken. You can, but it's very long, so it is not the answer that best fit, but A is considered the best answer here. Question number 18. All of the following biological factors affecting the desert regions except A, decline in grass growth; B, increase in the numbers of predators; C, decrease in the seasonal rainfall; D, increase in the numbers of grazers. Think about it. In the desert, what are the characterizing factors there? And what is the thing that is not making any? Yeah. Exactly. Here, the correct answer is decrease in the seasonal rainfall. Why? Because actually, the desert biome is a very, very dry with a very little rain. So there is no rain there. Okay. So decrease in the seasonal rain, okay, actually considered with no effect, because actually it has the little amount of rain. Okay, all of them affecting the grass growth, affecting, okay, increasing the numbers of predators, of course affecting the desert animals, increasing the number of grazers, surely, okay, affecting even the grass growth. But decrease in the seasonal rain, actually it is a desert biome with a very little rain. Okay, it's a very dry all of the seasons. And just a reminder, those are the major 6 biomes in the planet Earth. We have the tropical rainforest, which is warm and rainy all over the year, and the greatest biodiversity is there. Here we have the grassland, and the grassland is divided into 2, tropical, okay, tropical grassland, and the tropical is referred to as savanna, okay, where Simba living, okay, if you remember Simba, the Lion King. Then we have the temperate grassland, which in the moderate, okay, biomes. Then we have the desert, as we just mentioned, very dry and gets the very little amount of rain. Temperate forest, it is in the moderate, okay, the biome has very different summer and winter, yes, and it's being divided into deciduous trees that are falling their leaves, and coniferous, the evergreen. Then the taiga actually is meaning, it's the meaning of the word Russian forest. It's called taiga, located, of course, in cooler climates, and winters are long and cold, okay, while summers are shorter. Tundra is above the taiga and located and contain or has the coldest and longest winters. They are treeless biomes with a permanently frozen soil, okay, which is known as the permafrost. That's why it's very, very rare. Also, there is the Polio, yes, and even there are microbiomes. There are the major biome can divide into okay, smaller, okay, or or divisions, and even there are microbiomes, exactly, in the same place, by the way. Question number 19. Which of the following pedigrees is correct? A, B, C, D. All of them are incorrect. Doesn't make any sense except one. What is it? Think about it. If you are in doubt, get it out. Okay, this is my golden key and my golden rule here. Let's go for A, for example. Okay. Of course, here the correct answer, okay, will be C, but let's explain, okay, why we choose C. Okay. A here, this is affected, and the affected male or have the trait that we are studying, and the female do not have. And how come the offspring don't have? The parent is fully containing the or fully shaded, so it have the trait, so it is incorrect. B, the parent, both of them have the trait and the offspring doesn't have. Doesn't make any sense. Of course not. Okay. Uh, Here in C, the male is half shaded, which means a carrier, and the female also is a carrier, and it does make sense that the offspring can be either homozygous dominant, okay, or even it will be, okay, half shaded, will be also logic and accepted. But here the parent don't have that trait that we are studying, and it appear, okay, suddenly in the offspring. It doesn't make any sense, and it's incorrect. Question number 20. Which of the following living organisms classifies as omnivore? A, lion, B, fungi, C, bear, D, rabbit. Of course, the correct answer is the bear. And if I extend my explanation here, I'm gonna saying that the herbivorous are organisms that eating plants, only carnivorous, only meat eaters, omnivorous eating both, detritivore organisms that eat dead plants and animal matter. And if he stopped like this, it will be detritivore, by the way. If he said and return it back to the environment or to the ecosystem, it will be a decomposers. So decomposer, they are detritivore. Many students don't know or mix it up. Decomposers is considered a detritivore that also feed on the dead plants and animals and the organic matters, but they convert it into similar compounds. So they make it available again to the ecosystem so that another plant can make use of it. That's a very important point. Question number 21. When you monitoring movement of group of ants, you notice that they move in a fixed pathway following each other's. And this is by A, sense and odor of a substance, B, sense a taste of a substance, C, following a sound of each other's, D, watching each other. I referred to this in one of the questions before. So the correct answer here is yes, sensing and odor of a substance. And the exact same explanation. If you are looking here, here is the nest. So they are pathing, all of them, okay, following us the same pathway, because there is, yes, it is a pheromone was being deposited here. So they are sensing this odor of the pheromone and follow the pathway. Yes. Question number 22. When introducing a living organism to an environment to eliminate another living organism, the symbiotic relationship between those two living organisms can be either A, parasitism or predation, B, symbiosis or mutualism, C, parasitism or mutualism, D, predation or symbiosis. This is a rephrasing of a previously came question. Yes, exactly. The correct answer is A, which is parasitism or predation. If I extend it a little bit, I'm gonna say the biological pest control, which is the exact same definition that came before in one question of Tajmi'at previous years. This ladybug, okay, is considered a predator for the aphids. Aphids are, yes, they are pests that are harming our crops. So in order to eliminate the aphids, we are introducing the ladybug. And in this case, ladybug is a predator for the aphids. Okay, we can even use another parasite for them and eliminating them, not affecting our crop, and reduce our usage of pesticides or those chemical dangerous substances. I'm extending it even more. Okay, the symbiosis is a biological relationships. We have three major groups of the mutualism. Number one is the sorry, of the symbiosis, and of course, the predation or parasitism, it's very important for the biological pest control. Biological pest control. Pest control. Okay, we have mutualism, which is a win-win relationship or benefit exchange. One organism benefit and other organism is benefiting as well. Commensalism is a win nothing, or one organism benefiting and other organism neither benefited nor harmed. The parasitism is a relationship in which one organism benefiting on harming other organisms. So it is win-lose relationship. Okay, it may be from outside, so it's known as ectoparasitism, such like the hyrudo, okay, that sucking blood, okay, from outside of the bodies, okay, and also it may be endoparasitism, such like the protozoan that can cause the malaria, the African sleeping sickness, okay, those are called endoparasitism. That's all of the explanation for this particular point in further details. Question number 23. When a female bird lays its egg in another bird's nest and abandon the original bird's eggs, okay, they move them out, and the host birding incubates and feeds the young birds, okay, that are not his. This is an example of A, predation, B, mutualism, C, commensalism, D, parasitism. Yes, for sure, it is parasitism. Sure. Yeah, this bird that bought his egg in another bird's nest is considered a parasite to this bird. And parasitism, as we mentioned, a relationship in which one organism benefiting on harming the other organism. So it is a win-lose relationship. Question number 24. Which of the following features applies to methanogen bacteria? A, used in sewage treatment. B, obligate aerobes. C, the nucleus surrounded by nuclear envelope. D, photosynthetic. The methanogens are archaeobacteria, and they are, yes, they are used for the sewage treatment. Exactly. Yeah, they are bacteria, archaeobacteria, okay, that are releases the methane to the atmosphere. So we can make use of it and even to treat the sewage. It's not our point now to talk about the sewage treatment. It's a whole individual and independent topic, but just to link this to the sewage treatment process. Question number 25. In the table below, which number represents the cause of albinism resulted from a recessive genetic disorder? And by the way, autosomal recessive genetic disorder. 1, defect in the gene responsible for production of membrane protein. 2, absence of the gene responsible for hydrolyzing galactose. 3, absence of the gene responsible for hydrolyzing the fatty substances. 4, genes secreting not enough quantities of melanin pigment. Which one of them? And it is, yes, of course, it is number 4, okay, which is gene secreting, okay, not enough quantities of the melanin pigment. Let's extend the explanation and talk about all of the autosomal genetic disorder and the frequency that came before in the SAAT biology exams. All of those are recessive autosomal. I'm repeating this word, autosomal, autosomal. So they carried on, yes, their body chromosomes, all of the chromosomes rather than the sex-determining chromosomes, which are X and Y. If so, or if the chromosome X carry the disorder, it will be sex-linked, and it's not our story here. And those are recessive, not dominant, okay? The cystic fibrosis, they came 2 questions before, okay? And of course, the gene that codes for the membrane protein is deactivated, okay? Albinism, it came before in 1 question, and this is the 2nd question, by the way, that appear and show up, okay? The galactosemia came in 1 SAAT question, okay? The Tay-Sachs disease came in 3 questions, 2 asking about the cause and effect, and 1 question asking for the chromosome that is carrying the defective gene, which is chromosome number 15, okay? So watch out. So 3 questions came here. Okay, so this important diagram. Question number 26. The graph below represents the rate of spinal cord malformations in embryos. Knowing that in the last years, there is more care for taking folic acid by pregnant women. From the graph, we can conclude. Think about it. Think about it. A decline in the rate infection due to decrease the marriage between relatives. Yeah, read if we read here the options. Okay, we're gonna find out the answer. B, decline in the rate of infection due to increase in the consumption of folic acid. C, decline in the rate of infection due to the awareness of the dangers of medications. D, increase in the rate of infections due to increase in the consumption of folic acid. And by the way, if you look in here for the graph, here is the years, okay, on the x-axis, and on the y-axis there is the rate of the malformations. Okay, in 1991 it was 25, and then it declined per year because they said here that there is a, yes, there is a increase or more care, okay, of taking folic acid by pregnant women. So as there is an increase of the intake of the folic acid, there is a decline or decrease of the malformations. So the answer here is yes, it is B, decline in the rate of the infection, okay, due to increase in the consumption or in the intake of the folic acid. It's very, very obvious. There is one asking about the table. Actually, the occurrence in US, we don't need it, okay, so don't look about it. We will not ask you here. The treatment and cure, he will not ask you for. Each one of those disorders, he will ask you for the cause and the effect, okay? And 2 questions came in each one of them. Folic acid contains, if we move a little bit, folic acid contains iron, and iron is very important for the formation of the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is very important because it is very, very important for transporting the oxygen. So it is very important. Question number 27. In one of the criminal cases, inspectors found parts of the criminal hairs on crime scene that helped on an adequate quantity of DNA for genetic fingerprinting to compare it against some of other criminals holders. As per the table below, whom of the suspect committed the crime? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Exactly the correct answer is the suspect 4, suspect 3. And how can we find it out? If you compare the suspect against the specimen. This is a specimen that will be found in the crime scene, and if you have if you make a comparison for the fragments, you're gonna find this fragment is typically to this one, and this fragment typically to this one, and those two exactly typical to that two, and even the last one. But all of the rest will not make this matching, so we are excluding all of them except suspect 3, which there is or showed a perfect match for the genetic fingerprint that was being made for the specimen found in the crime scene. So the criminal is, yes, the suspect 3. Question number 28. Which of the body organs filter out the metabolic waste, water, and salt from the blood? A, heart. B, lung. C, stomach. D, kidney. For sure, it is the kidney. Yes, kidney filter out the actually all of the blood component except the blood cells and plasma protein that are too large to pass from the the Bowman's capsule. But all of the rest is being done by the kidney, from the ultrafiltration to the selective reabsorption. Question number 29. Living organisms that feeds on dead organisms and organic matter are. Here is a slight, okay, trick. The answer that will be baked here is not the proper answer, by the way. Okay, it should be another one. Okay, it should be C here, or D here is decomposers. Yes, it is correct, but detritivore is much more. Yes, the scavengers are detritivore. Yes, exactly. So we have scavengers. Yes, these are supposed to be scavengers or detritivore, and I will redo this part in order to replace this word by the term which is the detritivore. Okay, because it's very, very clear that he said just feed on the dead organic matter without saying return it back to the environment. So the correct answer that has to be here is the decomposition, I'm sorry, the detritivore. Okay. Yes. Here is the fungi, which is a type of they can be, some of them are detritivores, some others are scavengers are detritivores, okay, and also decomposers are detritivores. The difference is scavengers are not returning back they or not breaking down the dead organic matter into similar substances and returning back to the environment, while the decomposers do. That's it. Question number 30. The figure below represents the blood group of a donor. Accordingly, the blood group of the recipient has to be AB, O, A, or B. If you have a look here, you're going to find that the blood group of the donor has both of antigens, antigen A and antigen A and antigen B. So the plasma, okay, of the recipient must not have any antibody, should lack any, okay, antibodies. And the only blood group that lack of any antibodies is blood group AB, not O. Let's extend the explanation a little bit. Yeah, answer is AB. Reason, the blood group A, in the surface of the RBCs, there is antigen A, and in the plasma, there is antibody B. So antigen A and antibody B will never make a coagulation. Why? They are different. The blood group B, in the surface of the red blood cells, there is antigen B, and in the plasma of the patient, there is antibody A, so they will never make a blood clotting or coagulation. In the blood group AB, both antigens A and B represented on the surface of the RBC, while in the plasma lack any of the antibodies, so nothing will happen. In the blood group O, opposite, the surface of the red blood cells lack of any antigens, but their plasma do contain both antibody A and antibody B. So, of course, the blood group that will be given to the recipient has to be, yes, AB. Why the AB? Lack of any antibodies. Okay, yes. Question number 31. The basic proteinaceous building units of cells form, from which of the bases of living organisms originated? Yes, originated from what? The basic proteinaceous unit. The basic building units of protein, he want to say. A, monosaccharide, fatty acids, amino acids, gaseous. Of course, the basic proteinaceous unit is the amino acid. You have just to know that our body has 20 amino acids, okay? 11 are non-essential, 8 or 9 are essentials, but the names are not needed actually. Question number 32. Number of different species of living organisms and the existence percentage of each species in the vital community is called A, biodiversity, B, genetic diversity, C, ecosystem diversity, D, little diversity. If you think about it, the answer here is, yeah, this is the definition of the biodiversity. The biodiversity. Question number 33. The change in population from high birth and death rate to low birth and death rate is called. It is A, demographic transition, B, ZBG or zero population growth, C, birth rate, D, death rate. Exactly, this is the exact definition of the demographic transition. Yes. And here is the extension of the explanation. Yeah, the demographic transition that refers to the shift from, or the change from high birth rates and infant death to low birth rate, but in the same time, there is a low death rate. It's a demographic transition. Question number 34. The community that contains lions, elephants, giraffes, squirrel, and monkeys indicates which type of diversity? A, inheritance, B, species, C, ecosystem, D, genetic. Think about it. Yes, the answer is the species. Species, yeah. It's not something inherited between in one of them, and it is not related to the abiotic factor, it is biotic factor. So it's not the ecosystem. And genetic is passed down from one generation to another generation of the same species. And here it's just different of species, different types of species. So here is diversity because they different of species. Question number 35. Polyploid chromosomes in wheat plants leads to A, no effect, B, death, C, less vitality and weak growth, D, increase its strength and rigidity. Think about it. This is, by the way, not new question, and the answer is D, which is increase its strength and rigidity. The polyploidy means there is more than one, okay, chromosomal set. We have monoploidy, okay, monoploidy, I'm sorry here, such like the sex cells, they are haploid, and they have one chromosomal set. We have diploidy, okay, such like the body cells or somatic cells, okay, they are 2N, such like the skin cell, for example. We have polyploidy, and in the polyploidy, actually, we may have 3N, we may have 4N, we may have, okay, 5N, and even more. Yeah, 3N, such like endosperm that came in one of the plant question, topic number 6, endosperm. Okay, 4N and even more, it's found in many, many cases, but it is, yes, here I will differentiate a little bit. In case of animal, it is very rare. Okay, rare means in earthworm, you're gonna find it. In golden fish, you're gonna find it. Okay, but in human, it is lethal. Yes, but in plants, it's most common. And if so, it's common. It will increase the strength and rigidity. And here is everything about the ploidy. Question number 36. Which of the following symbiotic relationships both organisms get benefited? A, commensalism, B, parasitism, C, predation, D, mutualism. That's very, very easy. And here is the, yes, of course, the answer here is the mutualism. Yes, both get benefited, benefit exchange. It is mutualism. Yes. So is another diagram here in order to ease the process of understanding. The mutualism, such like this case, both organisms benefiting, helping each other, so they will be helped. Okay, so win-win relationship. Commensalism, one organism benefiting on, okay, on the other hand, the other organism neither benefited nor harm, so win-nothing relationship. Parasitism, win-lose, one organism helped on harming other organism. And the same explanation as we did mention before. Question number 37. Which of the following organisms lack the nervous system? A, gazelle, B, falcon, C, fish, D, sponge. Yes, of course, the sponge lack of any, not only systems, but also lack any specialized tissue. Yes, it just have 3 specialized cells. One is the epidermis, then is the amoebocyte, third is the choanocyte or the cooler, yes, called cooler cell. Exactly. Those are the 3 cells that are found, okay, in the sponge. Yes, they are, the sponge have specialized cells, but lack the specialized tissues and specialized systems. Yes. Question number 38. Which of the following substances considered the main composition of hair and nail in mammals? A, keratin, B, thyroxine, C, calcitonin, D, creatinine. The correct answer here is A, which is the keratin. Perfect. Yes, the nails, The hairs are being made up of keratin deposition. Question number 34. I'm sorry, 39. During the child playing barefooted in contaminated soil, he infected by a type of worms. Which type of worm expected to be? A, ascarid, B, hookworms, C, nematodes, D, tabworms. For sure, it is the hookworms. If I extended the explanation, I'm gonna say that here is the picture, okay, that you can find out the worm itself, and here the infection in the pattern after infection. Question number 40. Which of the following animals is an egg-laying mammal? Egg-laying mammal. A, opossum, B, kangaroo, duck-billed platypus, D, whale. Yeah, of course, it is the duck-billed platypus. Yes. He said here, egg-laying mammal. And egg-laying mammal, actually, they are known as monotremes. Monotremes. And they have only two, there are three species living all over the world now. Okay, one is the duck-billed platypus, and the second are echidnas. Only two species, and one species of platypus, and both of them are in Australia. Then we have marsupials. Okay, marsupials. And marsupials have 282 species only all over this planet Earth, and also they are in Australia, such like opossum, such like kangaroo. Okay, so opossum and kangaroo and the koalas and wombats. Okay, wombats, sorry, and the remaining are known as eutherians. Okay, eutherians are, yes, they have actually two, we can categorize them into two groups. We have terrestrial, placental mammal, and we have marine placental mammal. The marine placental have three species. I'm sorry, three groups. Okay, and terrestrial placenta have 9 orders, if we can say they are orders, and here we have 3 orders. So total is 12, and all of them have to be kept by mind, and we covered this before in our previous course. It cannot be primate, and many of the students mix it up actually, because the primate is one of the groups of the terrestrial placental mammals. So here we have primate. It is an order called order primate, and all the primates have human. And what came to in the exam was the monkey. Yes. And in the exam, he said primitive. Primitive. The primitive means less advanced, and the less advanced is the monotremes. Why? Because they are still having some of the characteristics that are still found in the reptiles. Okay, reptiles lay an egg, and all of the rest of the mammals, they are not egg laying. So there are only 3 species. Okay, so they are primitive. So primates are not primitives. Primates are the most advanced thing in the mammals. Okay, that's why it should not be mixed up, but many of the students not reading the questions properly, and this is a disaster, to be honest. In the exam, it said primitive are monotremes, while the primates are the most advanced. They are advanced, not only advanced, but the most advanced. Okay, they have the human. Yes. Question number, this is the answer as I just mentioned. Question number 41. Microsporidia is a protist used in the manufacture of detergents, chemicals, paints, pesticides. It is a rephrasing of a previously question that came in the exams before, and the correct answer here is pesticide. Pesticide. Yes, it came before in one of the exams, and he said a protist that is being used as a pesticide, and he wanted you to pick the microsporidia. So here he just rephrased the question. So if you saw the previous question, you will never mix it up. It is new and old question, if we can say. Question number 42. Which of the following helps in genetic diversity in the living organisms? A, mitotic division, B, budding, C, spores, D, meiotic divisions. Said here, helps in genetic diversity. Help in genetic diversity. What helping the genetic diversity? for sure is the meiosis, so the meiotic division, in which there is a crossover. There is a crossover. Yes, because there is a crossing over process, there is a shuffling, a twinkling, and exchanging of segments of the chromosome that causes the genetic variation. That's why the resultant of the meiotic division are genetically unique or genetically different cells, while the meiosis is resulting in genetically identical cells, which has, yes, no or little or few variation. Question number 43. Which of the following is not considered a fungal or a fungi ways of obtaining food? It is not new questions, by the way. A, parasitism. B, photosynthesis. C, decomposition. D, mutualism. For sure, there is no way for the fungi to be photosynthetic because it lacks of any photosynthetic pigment. So it can be parasite, can be decomposer, can be a mutualist, but never a photosynthesis. Question number 44. These are plants adapted with water scarce in their habitat by modifying their leaves to all of the following, except A, stomata sunken in grooves, B, curled leaves, C, reduced numbers of stomata, D, increase the leaf surface area. Logically, is D. Yes, of course. Why? Because stomata sunken in groove, it's very deep, so that will reduce the loss of water. Curled leaves in order to reduce the exposed to the excess heat. Reduce number of stomata in order to decrease the water loss and retaining the water. But increase the surface area will cause more transpiration and more exposure to the environmental condition, which is of course not the option. Increasing the stomata, I didn't see this in one of the questions, to be honest. I translated the question that appeared in the exam. Increase the number of stomata for sure is not the answer, because if we increase the number of stomata, will cause more transpiration, and more transpiration is a more water loss in a very extreme condition. And by the way, it was mentioned reduced, not more. I'm sure of it, and it does make sense because he said, okay, all of them are considered adaptation except one, and the only one that is not considered adaptation is D. So it must be all of the rest to be well adapted, and all of them are. I'm sure of it. Okay. Yeah. If anyone, if you saw it instead of increased is, and I'm sorry, instead of reduced increase, please let me know what I have the question. I can post it as well in the to all of you. Question number 45. In the figure below, which arrow represents the petals? That's very easy. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Yes, the correct answer here is, yes, the 3. Let's label it. We can even use another model flower. 1, of course, here is the sepal. 2 is the style. 3 is the petals. 4 is the anther. I'm sorry, here is the filament, sorry. So the flower, which is considered a model perfect flower, or the complete perfect flower, has the receptacle in which all of the plant whorls are being raised from. Then you have the sepals that together makes the calyx that protect the flower before it blooms. Then we have the corolla that is made up of petals that are large, brightly colored, in some cases may be scented, and they also may have nectaries for production of the nectar, and they have guidelines to guide the pollinators down to the nectaries. And they have the male part, which is known as the stamen. Stamen have a pollen-producing part known as anther, and has a holder, which is the filament. Then we have the female part. In most or nearly all of the American curricula is written as pistil, but carpel is being used mostly in the UK stream. That is made up of a pollen-receiving organ, which is stigma, and then a connection between the stigma to the ovary, which is known as the style, and the ovary has the ovule, which containing the female egg cell or the female sex cell. Question number 46. Which of the following animals have a stable body temperature? A, frog. B, snake. C, eagle. D, turtle. It is not a new question, by the way. And of course, the only organism here that has a stable or a constant body temperature is the eagle. Why? Because eagle is a bird, and bird are considered endothermic, or warm-blooded, or they have constant or stable body temperature. Frog is an amphibian. Okay, a snake is a reptile, turtle is a reptile, and all of them are cold-blooded or ectotherm. They change their body temperature according to the temperature of the environment. So no one of them is the correct answer. Question number 47. If the sequence of the nitrogenous bases in one of the DNA strand is 3-AGA-TTCGA 5-, then the sequence of the complementary strand is, think about it, it's very easy. And if you are in doubt, get it out. And as a key for you here, try using the Ervin-Chargaff base pairing rule. He said here DNA, that's why I make a separator. In RNA, the Ervin-Chargaff base pairing rule stating that adenine always pair with uracil and guanine always pair with cytosine. While in DNA, always adenine pair by a double hydrogen bond with thymine and guanine pair with a triple hydrogen bond with cytosine. And the correct answer here is yes. The correct answer is A. Let's prove it. A will pair with T. G will pair with C. A will pair with T. Two A's with, sorry, so two T's with two A's. C with G. G with C. A with T. Exactly. And here is the correct answer. So the correct answer is A. Yes, 5 have to be switched because 5 is same as A. So I should make this G, for example. I'll modify this in order not to make any confusion. Yeah, C is, but in the original question in the Arabic version, do not have the C as a correct answer. It's A. So maybe my mistake, I bought C instead of G. Okay, so I will, okay, modify the answer C in order to make it matching to those exact Arabic version that came in the exam. So it is A. Question number 48. Yeast reproduced by A, budding, B, fragmentation, C, spore formation, D, regeneration. Yes, it's asexually reproducing by budding. Yes, and the budding process, here is the yeast, so there will be a bud which an extension will be formed, then it will be completely grown into another, okay, bud, and this bud may be remaining, makes a colony, or